Assalamu alaikum. So in this video we are talking about the famous Indian literary figures. So we'll be talking about the figures of South Asian literature like in general and the Indian literary figures in particular. So first of all it is Rabindranath Tagore. So Rabindranath Tagore was born in 1861 and died in 1941. His nickname was Gurudev, and he was a Bengali poet, writer, composer, philosopher, and a painter from Bengal. He reshaped the Bengali literature and music, as well as the Indian art with contextual modernism in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He was a poet, writer, and thinker. So, Rabindranath Tagore, he brought glory to the country when he became the first Indian to win Nobel Prize for the country. So, the 15-year-old Tagore was accorded with the honor in 1913, 12 years after it made its debut. So, in very short time, he received Nobel Prize for Literature, and he is the first Indian to have received Nobel Prize in Literature. Gitanjali is a collection of poems by the Bengali poet Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore received the Nobel Prize for Literature largely for the English translation Song Offerings. It is part of the UNESCO collection of representative works. Its central theme is devotion, and its motto is, "I'm here to sing these songs." Then, The Home and the Word. So, this was also written by Rabindranath Tagore in 1916. This was a novel. So, The Home and the Word is 1916 novel. The book illustrates the battle Tagore had with himself between the ideas of Western culture and revolution against the Western culture. So, this was one of the most prominent themes of Indian literature, in which there was a clash of the local culture and of the Western culture, which was, of course, a product of colonialism in subcontinent India. Khushwant Singh, he is a well-known person in literature. So he was an Indian author, lawyer, a diplomat, journalist, and politician. His experience in the 1947 partition of India inspired him to write Train to Pakistan in 1956, which became his most well-known novel. Train to Pakistan is a historical novel by Khushwant Singh, and it was published in 1956. It recounts the partition of India in August 1947 through the perspective of Mano Majra, a fictional border village. So it tells the tale of the whole of the partition, the horrors of partition, the good effects, the good effects, the bad effects, or like you can say, like he discussed each and everything that he happened to have noticed or seen through all that what happened politically. So it was a separation of two countries or independence of two countries from British Raj. So he talked about all those issues in his famous novel, Train to Pakistan. Delhi was also a novel by Khushwant Singh. So the book moves backward and forwards in time through the history of Delhi. It has as its backdrop the story of a journalist fallen on bad time, possibly an autobiographical figure, and his relationship with a hijra, a eunuch named Bhagmati. So this was a radical kind of novel in which a dissimilar kind of something which was revolting in society, such a relation which was not acceptable by the society of that time and even of the present time. So it was shown there in the novel. So a journalist was in love or in a relationship with a hijra. So this was altogether a very radical kind of topic, which was like taken by Khushwant Singh as a backdrop of his novel Delhi. So other works of Khushwant Singh are The Mark of Vishnu and Other Stories, The History of Sex, Train to Pakistan, The Voice of God and Other Stories, I Shall Not Hear the Nightingale, it was a novel, The Sikhs Today, The Fall of Kingdom of Punjab, A History of the Sikhs. So these were penned by Khushwant Singh, and all of them received applause, and they were acclaimed by the people, by his audience, by his readers. So this made him one of the most important figures, one of the most important literary figures of India. Then comes Anita Desai. So Anita Desai, born Anita Mazumdar, is an Indian novelist and a professor of humanities at Massachusetts Institute of Technology. As a writer, she has been shortlisted for the Booker Prize 3 times, so that goes to her credit. Clear Light of Day. So this is a novel by Anita Desai, which was published in 1980, and the like 3 times she was nominated for Booker Prize for this novel. Fasting, Feasting. So it is also a novel by Anita Desai, published in 1999 in Great Britain, and it was also shortlisted for Booker Prize for Fiction in 1999. And this is a list of Desai's other works. 2011, The Artist of Disappearance, The Zigzag Way, Diamond Dust and Other Stories, Journey to Ithaca, In Custody, Games at Twilight and Other Stories, Cry, The Peacock. So all these works are to the credit of Anita Desai. Premchand, so known as Munshi Premchand. So he was an Indian writer famous for his modern Hindustani literature. He is one of the most celebrated writers of Indian subcontinent and is regarded as one of the foremost Hindi writers of early 20th centuries. Munshi Premchand is known for his GODAAN. So GODAAN is a famous Hindi novel. It was first published in 1936 and considered one of the greatest Hindi novels of modern Indian literature. Themed around the socio-economic deprivation as well as exploitation of village poor, the novel was the last complete novel of Premchand. The Gift of the Cow is English version of GODAAN. It was published in 1936. It exposes the vices of the caste system and exploitation of the poor living the villages of India. Uh, Nirmala, a poignant story around a young girl who is forced to marry a widower nearly her father's age. So this is about the exploitation that is carried on or was carried on in Indian villages, and there were certain issues which we also find in our culture where there is lack of education, where there is lack of training. So we find such inhuman attitudes. So Premchand brought this to the public, that what he saw, so he depicted it through his novels. Uh, he also wrote Karma Bhumi, Kafan, Gaban, Poos Ki Raat, Nimrala, Eidgah. So these are his famous works. Sarat Chandra Chattopadhyay. So uh, Sarat Chandra Chattopadhyay, alternatively spelled as Sarat Chandra Chatterjee, was a Bengali novelist and short story writer of the early 20th century. Most of his works deal with the lifestyle, tragedy, and struggle of the village people and the contemporary social practices that prevailed in Bengal. Devdas. So, Devdas is a Bengali romance novel written by Chatterjee. The character of Parvati was based on a real life second wife of a zamindar, Bhuvan Mohan Chaudhary. It was said that even the writer visited the village. According to the sources, the original village was called Hatipota. So, this is a very famous work and the best work to his credit. There have been so many adaptations of the novel. Movies are there which were screened and they were well acclaimed. Sarojini Naidu. So Sarojini Naidu was Indian political activist and a poet, a proponent of civil rights, women's emancipation, and anti-imperialistic ideas. She was an important figure in India's struggle for independence from colonial rule. So, writing about all those things through poetry, which were about women, their rights, their emancipation, their role in community, the rights for them, and also the civil rights. She was also against the imperialistic ideas, which was like a product of the imperialism in India. The theme of her poetry are mostly about kids, nature, nationalism, romance, and demise. The Golden Threshold includes the lovely Indian love song, along with several other poignant poems. Every poem offers a sense of comprehension into the thoughts and feelings of this wildly foremost and inspirational woman. She was a prolific poet whose volumes of poetry included The Golden Threshold, The Bird of Time, and her collected poems, published as The Sceptred Flute and The Feather of the Dawn. Amrita Pritam. So, Amrita Pritam, born in 1919, died in 2005. She was an Indian novelist, essayist, and poet who wrote in Punjabi and Hindi. Amrita Pritam won many awards, such as Sahitya Akademi Award, Padma Shri, Bharatiya Janatpith, Shatabdi Saman, Padma Vibhushan. So these were the awards won by Amrita Pritam. Kalidas, written as Kalidasa, was a classical Sanskrit author and is often considered ancient India's greatest playwright and dramatist. His plays and poetry are primarily based on Vedas and the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and Puranas. His surviving works consist of three plays, two epic poems, and two shorter poems. Since he was writing in Sanskrit, so pronouncing these names may be very difficult, but these are his works which are attributed to Kalidas. Vikram Chandra, so he's an Indian American writer. His first novel, Red Earth and Pouring Rain, won the 1996 Commonwealth Winters Prize for the best first book. So it was a great award for his debut. Sacred Games, which is also screened as a season. So it is a mystery thriller novel by Vikram Chandra. It was published in 2006. Upon release, it received critical acclaim and subsequently won the Vodafone Crossword Book Award. If we talk about the Nobel Prize winners, so the first Indian to receive Nobel Prize was Rabindranath Tagore, so this is a credit to him. And afterwards, Sir Vidyadhar, he received the second Nobel Prize in Literature. So, to my research, there are only two Indian literary figures who have till date received the Nobel Prize in Literature. So this was all, not basically all, but some of the people or some of the main figures who are from Indian literature, from South Asian literature. We'll keep coming with the details of them and certain more literary figures. So this is not the end of Indian literature. Indian literature is unique, marvelous, and it is quite extensive. Going through Indian literature, we realize that certain themes are common for India and Pakistan. We find those issues very much here in our country, uh, be it in city, be it in town, be it in village. We come across certain issues in our daily life. So, all the Indian authors are working very well, and their work is tremendous, marvelous, and we can see the depiction of our culture in that as well. So we'll be writing or we'll be working on them as well. We'll be bringing to you more Indian authors and we'll be bringing to you the details of the works which we have yet discussed. So thank you very much. Please subscribe the channel and stay tuned.